Hello friends, in this video I'm going to explain about the historical underpinnings of the Constitution of India. Okay? So slowly we'll cover the whole UPSC syllabus. Now currently our topic of discussion is about historical underpinnings of Indian Constitution, how Indian Constitution came into being. Okay, let me explain briefly what are all the events that took place in a very brief manner. Okay, the East India Company, which we call as British East India Company, came to India in the form of uh, traders. In 1600s, the East India Company came to India in the form of traders for purely trading. Okay, in 1765 or something like that, they obtained Diwani. Okay, Diwani in the sense right to collect revenue. From that, they started the territorial conquest of India. Okay, so from territorial conquest of India in 1765 till 1858, the East India Company ruled, telling the name of the British. In 1858, the British actually took over the administration in the wake of the Sepoy Mutiny. There was a Sepoy Mutiny. Because of that, the British directly controlled the Indian administration from 1858 to 1947. There was a crown rule. Okay, I have written very clearly. Company rule is from 1773. Actually, 1765. Okay, this is 5 to 1858. Okay, and crown rule is from 1858 to 1947. So there are historically very important events which took place in between these 1773 to 1947, which are all of important from the UPSC perspective, which we need to know. So we will discuss in brief what are all the acts. I have written it here already. Companies rule from 1765 to 1858, and these are all the acts. Okay, Regulating Act of 1773, Quits India Act of 1784, Charter Act of 1793, and 1813, 1833, and 1853. These 6 acts in the company rule. Okay, and these 6 acts in the crown rule. Government of India Act 1858, Council Chapter 1892, 1909, 1919, 1909. This is also called as Morley reform. In 1919, Montaigne for reforms. Government of India Act 1935 and Indian Independence Act finally in 1947. Okay, we'll start with Regulating Act of 1773. So this act was passed by British UK. Okay, in the British country, this act was passed to regulate the acts of East India Company and India. So in India, there was no regulation for the East India Company. In order to regulate their affairs in India, British passed this act in British Parliament, Regulating Act of 1773. So there are 4 main features of this act. The first one is, this was the first act passed to regulate the British East India Company, and they created a body called Court of Directors in order to look around the administrative affairs, and Supreme Court of India was also created through this act only. Okay, and one more, I'm missing it, and they created a Governor General of Bengal. Actually, there were many governors, but this Governor of Bengal was called the Governor General of Bengal, and he was made subordinate to Bengal, Bombay, and Odisha, these presidencies. Okay, and the first Governor General of Bengal was Warren Hastings. Okay, this is all about the Regulating Act of 1773. Remember these. Okay, and The second act is Quits India Act of 1784. This is not that much important, but the most important point is that they created one separate body, which is called Board of Control. So now Court of Director was left to manage commercial affairs of the company, and Board of Control used to manage political affairs. Okay, these are all the two acts. Okay, and out of this, Charter Act of 1833 is very important, and 1813 is also important, not that much. Charter Act of 1793, what it did is the Charter Act of 1973 just it laid down the members of the Board of Control and their staff. So I told you they created Board of Control through this 1784 Act. So this revenue and all the expenses were to be borne from the Indian revenue. That's what the Charter Act of 1793 said. Okay, in this act is very important. Okay, in this act, what they did was the monopoly of the trade was broken. Okay, now the trade in India was left to all the merchants from the British. Earlier, whoever belongs to East India Company, only they could trade in India. But with the passage of this Act of 1813, all can trade except the trade in tea with China. So if you trade, only East India Company servants or East India Company was allowed to trade with China for the tea things. So whatever the trade in tea was there at that time, only this East India Company used to trade. Except that all the other trade was open to all the merchants of British. Okay, so this was the regulation brought from the 1813 Charter Act. Okay, 1833 is also very important because it had major changes. Okay, now the Governor General of Bengal was changed to Governor General of India. Okay, who was the first Governor General of India? He was Canning, I guess, Lord Canning. Let me check it. Okay. Sorry, he was the first viceroy. Okay, Lord Canning was the first viceroy, but here William Bentinck. Warren Hastings, William Bentinck, and then Canning. Okay, it comes in Government of India Act 1815. Now the Governor General was changed. Governor General of Bengal was made superior, no, in regulating Act of 1773. Now Governor General of Bengal was changed to Governor General of India in 1833, and his name was first Governor General of India was Warren Hastings. Okay, here the name was William Bentinck. Okay, now the Governor General of India was changed to Viceroy of India, and the first Viceroy of India was Lord Canning. Remember that. Okay, now come back to this 1833. Governor General of Bengal was changed to Governor General of India. This was the major change, and before 1833, the acts were known as regulations. The changes were known as regulations. Now, after 1833, they were called acts. Okay. And what else they did? Yeah, this act made first attempt, okay, to open the competition of the civil servants should be open to all the Indians. That was said in this act only, but it was then negated if by strong opposition of the Court of Directors. The Court of Directors opposed this thing, open competition to Indian should be included in administration, and East India Company was made purely administrative body through this act. Okay, 1833 Act, East India Company was made purely administrative body, and whatever is there, no, the open competition of the civil servants, this was negated in 1833 Act, again reintroduced in 1853, Charter Act of 1853. It was again reintroduced. Okay, so it was reintroduced in 1833, and the first civil servant of India is Satya Prasad Satyendranath Tagore, and who is the father of the civil services? It is Lord Cornwallis. Okay, these are all important. This is all about the company rule, which ruled from 1765, right from the beginning of the 1773 Regulating Act to 1853 Charter Act. Okay, this out of which this Charter Act of 1833 is important. 1813, which uh, broke the monopoly of the trade, except in the trade of tea with China. This thing is important. 1773 is important, and that's it. Quits India Act 1830, 84 is also important. This is all about the company rule. Now let's go to the crown rule. Okay. So Government of India Act 1858. In 1857, there was a Sepoy mutiny. This mutiny was because the Indian soldiers should cross the sea and go to other countries to fight, and they should bite the thing from the, what you call, when you fire a bullet, then you need to bite thing. That thing, what the material was made of pig's fat, and pig was considered very unholy in Hindu, so they did not accept. But the Britishers forced them, and then the mutiny happened. And then because of this, Government of India Act was passed. Okay, till 1853 or 1858, East India Company used to rule on behalf of British. Now from Government of India Act 1853, British government directly took control. Okay, British government directly took control. Now the Governor General was abolished, and in place of him, a new post was created. His name was Viceroy of India, and the first Viceroy of India is Lord Canning. Okay, and a post called this Board of Control, and this dual government was also abolished, and a new thing called Secretary of India, I mean Secretary General. Along with him, a 12-member body was created to assist him. Okay, along with the Viceroy, a 12-member body was created to assist him. Okay, it was not 12-member. Viceroy was created, now Lord Canning, along with his Secretary General was created under him. Okay, so Secretary General was created under him, and a 15-member body was created under Secretary General in order to make the legislations and laws, in order to assist that particular thing. Okay, it was there in Government of India Act 1858. Okay, so see, there is a graph. This is centralizing tendency. So it started centralizing up to the Act of 1833, and it was constant, and it started negating here. This was 1861. Okay, so the zenith of centralization was between 1833 and 1861. From 1861, it started decentralizing it. So it felt that decentralizing of the powers portfolio system is very necessary in order to maintain the administration. They realized that in 1861 Government of India Act. Okay, here 1860, 1861, where it is, Government of India Act, Indian Council Act 19. forgot to wrote this government of India 1861 itself. Okay. So after this, it was after 1858, it was 1861. So I forgot to wrote here 1861. Okay. So government of India 1858 I have discussed. The post of Governor General was deleted. In the post of new thing, Viceroy was created. Lord Canning was the first Viceroy, and Secretary General was also created. So in 1861, the process of decentralization started. Okay, I have told you now, in 1861 the process of decentralization was started, and in, ordinance usually we passed by the president. This 1861 through 1861 act only, this ordinance was first passed. Now the viceroy could pass the ordinance, and the life of the ordinance was 6 months at that particular time period. Okay, 1861 Government of India Act 1861, through which the viceroy can pass ordinance, and the life of the ordinance was 6 months. So portfolio system, I have told you now, decentralization. From here, portfolio system, portfolio in the sense division of powers. So it felt that it felt the need of the Indians to associate with the lawmaking process. So from there, the decentralization got started. Now these are Indian Constitution Act of 1892 is not that important, but the main point about this is, for the first time, so it increased the number of members of the Legislative Council. I said no, it is 15. So in Councils Act, it got increased. Okay, from 16 to 60 got increased in the legislative. There was a separate council called Legislative Council. Okay, in that Legislative Council there were 16 members. Through this act, it was increased to 60, and so indirect elections were used in this act. Okay, indirectly, the word election was not used, but the whatever the members are there, 60 members got elected indirectly. This is all about the Indian Councils Act 1892. Okay, Government of India Act 1909, 1919, and 1935. These are all very important. Okay, let us discuss about its features. So the Government of India Act 1909. This act is also called Morley-Minto reforms. Morley was the viceroy and Minto was the secretary. Okay. Minto was the viceroy. Minto viceroy and Morley was the secretary. So this act introduced the direct elections for first time. Okay, direct elections, and the Muslims were represented separately. I mean, communal representation for Muslims started here. Okay, Muslims, communal representation. Okay, and 19 Indians were allowed. There was executive council for house, as I have said, no. There was executive council. So in this executive council, Indians were allowed through 1901 Act and 9 Act and Satya Prasad Sinha, Satyendra Prasad, Satyendra Prasad Sinha. So this Satyendra Prasad Sinha was the first law member in the Viceroy's Executive Council. This was done through 1909 Act. Okay, in 1919 Act, along with Muslims, uh, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians, Europeans, Christians. So communal elections and communal electorate extended to Sikhs, Christians, Anglo-Indians, and Europeans. Okay. And diarchy and bicameralism also came through this act. So in this act, rules were known as devolution rules. Okay. See, two important things of the act is, one is bicameralism, and second one is diarchy. Please know the difference between bicameralism and diarchy in a clear way. Okay. Diarchy in the sense the subjects are divided. Diarchy in the sense the subjects are divided between center and the states. Like the police are from the state subject, the forests are from both center and the state subject. Okay, and the railways is purely central subject. Like that, the subjects were divided between center and the state in the form of diarchy, and this diarchy was introduced in 1919 Government of India Act. Okay, all these are GOI. Okay. And in 1935 also we will discuss parallelly. I said no, here Muslims, here along with Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. Along with this, SCs and women workers. For SCs and women workers also, this communal electorate was extended. Okay, communal electorate in the sense, see, if a Muslim needs to be elected, then only Muslims are allowed to vote for him. Okay, all the others are not allowed. Similarly, it was done in 1909 Act. Okay, here six will elect Christians. Christians will only elect if the member is Anglo-Indian, and Anglo-Indians are only allowed to vote. This is called communal electorate system. Okay, this was allowed. It started in 1909. They extended to SCs, women workers in 1935 Act also. Okay. Still, what are all the features? So Civil Servants Public Service Commission was also established in 1919. Okay. Civil Servants Public Service Commission. This was also established in 1919. State there is nothing but provincial. I mean, there was no existence of the state at that time. So at that time it was Central Civil Servants Public Service Commission. Okay, along with the UPSC, Central Public Service Commission. Okay, and I have told many things about the 1909 Act, 1919 Act also, 1935. Let's discuss this. So All India Federation, Federalist, Provincialist. So in 1935, I told you this Federal Public Service Commission. Here, not only Federal Public Commission, but also Provincial Public Service Commission was also introduced in 1935. Provincial Public Service Commission was introduced in 1935, and it was extended to SCs, STs and women. services were created. All India services were also created in 1935 only. So it provided dietary approval center adopted. And dietary, whatever the dietary is there, no, it was adopted in center but abolished in provinces. Provinces abolished, center adopted. This dietary was abolished in provinces in Government of India in 1934. Okay. So some of the important things are RBI was established in 1935, and Federal Court, okay, High Court, what we call today, is also established. In 1935, Government of India. So we have discussed almost everything from scratch. Okay, 1773 Regulating Act to Indian Independence Act 1977. It is generally this viceroy, they were abolished and it gave independence to India and the Pakistan. And from now onwards, the constitution to be framed by Indians themselves, and there will be no intervention of the British. And these are all the Indian Independence Act. Okay. Lapse of the British paramountcy on the Indian government, and till the new constitution was framed, this Government of India Act 1935 will be. So majority of the portion of our Indian constitution is borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935. Okay, so from 1947 till 1949 or 1950. Okay, it took 2 years, 9 months, 11 days to frame the Constitution of India, and in 1950, January 26th, our Indian Constitution was adopted. We have discussed everything about from scratch. Okay, so let's discuss some questions. Hopefully, we will answer. Okay, so I'm using this book. You can just open it. Historical background. Okay, there are 22 questions. Let's start from the last question. Okay, I'll read out the question and options. You just tell the answer. During the British rule in India, who was the first Indian to be appointed as law member of the Governor General's Council? So law member, I have told you, right? Satyendra Prasad Sinha. Satyendra, it is Satyendra Sinha. Okay, in which act it was? In 1909. I have written here, right? The first law member to be appointed to the Governor General's Council. It is not Governor General, so Viceroy's Council. Okay, but here it is given like that. 22C. Yeah, correct. So, next question. With reference to the period of British rule in India, Indian Statutory Commission is popularly known as. So Indian Statutory Commission was also popularly known as Simon Commission. Okay, who among the following was the first law member of India? First law minister of India. Who was it? Law minister who framed the constitution, who wrote the constitution. It was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay. Match list 1 with list 2. It is given. Designation of the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India, and his government at the Government of India. So Governor General of Bengal to Governor General of India. It was changed in the Act of 1833. The first option is matching. And the second is dietary introduced in the Indian government. When was dietary introduced? It was Government of India Act 1919. Okay, B3. Okay, 1-3. It is third option. Okay, let's discuss the remaining two also. C4. Twin features of All India Federation. It was in Government of India Act 1935. All India Federation, All India Services. Okay, I have explained this also. And the control of the Government of India transferred from East India Company to British Crown. East India Company to British Crown. It was Government of India Act 1958. Okay, I have explained that also. Which one of the following acts laid the foundation of the British administration in India? Government of India Act 1773, 1784, or 1861 and 1892. Foundation of British administration in India. Regulating Act of 1773. To this regulating act only British control, right? So this is the correct answer. So we have discussed 1, 2, 3, 4 questions in less than 1 minute. Whom the following was the finance minister of India in the interim during the 1946 to I have told you know from 1947, 1946, from 1946 onwards through 1947 till it was interim government. Okay, it was elected partially, and I will tell you about this evolution in another period. But remember this: Liaquat Ali Khan was the finance minister in India in the interim government. Okay, let's match list 1 with list 2. 16th question. I'm discussing the 16th question. Okay, so federal scheme of the government. So here acts are given, more limited reforms, diarchy at province. So diarchy in the province. So diarchy was abolished in the provinces. It was which act? Diarchy was abolished in the provinces. It was 1935, but in the provinces it was established in 1919. Okay, diarchy it was introduced in 1991. So diarchy in the provinces. Government of India. B4. What are all the options? Two options we get. Okay, A we will see 3 or 2. A in the sense federal scheme of the government. Federal scheme of the government 3 or 2. Government of India 1861 or 2. 2 is Indian Council Act 1961 and 3 government of 1931. So there is no chance of government of India in 1935 because in 1961 only decentralization started and federal scheme will be started in 1961 only. So the third option B2. So A2. So C will be 16th answer is C if I am not so it is wrong. It's B. Okay, 8 is 3. Federal scheme of the government, it was established in the federal scheme of the government. Federal courts were established, right? Okay. B4 diarchy 4. So diarchy was introduced to 4 and C1 communal representation started in 1909. Yeah, communal representation of the Muslims started in 1909. And D is to rigid centralization. Centralization happened in 1861. Rigid centralization. D. 16 answer. 16 B. This question is doubtful. Rigid centralization did not happen in 1861. Rigid centralization happened in 1833. 1833 was at its peak, but 1816, right? 1861, right? It initiated the process of decentralization by restoring legislation. So here it was peak, I think. From here it started down going up. In 1861 it was peak. Maybe 16th question is mark it. I will answer it later. Okay, 15. What were the salient features of the Government of India Act 1935? Adoption of Council of India, diarchy at the center, abolition of diarchy in the states. So diarchy was abolished, adopted here. 2 and 3, establishment of federal 2, 3, 4 are there. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is the answer. D. 15th D is the correct answer. So 30th question, the Government of India Act 1919 was based upon, I have told you 1919 wanted chance for reforms. Okay. Okay. Then 14, under which of the following acts was the communal electoral system introduced by the British in India? 1909. Muslims have told you this also. Okay. And 12th question, match list 1, list 2, 58, All India Federation. All India Federation, I have told you, no? All India Federation. All India Services in 1935 Act. Okay. So All India Services in 1935 is not All India Federation of provinces and princely states. Okay, let it be like that. Okay, appointment of Secretary of the State of India. Viceroy and Secretary of the State was appointed through Government of India Act 1858. So here will be two options are there, B or D. Okay, B is 3. Indian Council Act is 3. Beginning of the representation of the legislative devolution. I told you know decentralization from 1861. So B is 3. C will be 5 or 4, or D will be 4 or 1. Okay, C will be 5 or 4. C Indian Council not 9. 5 diarchy at provinces or Morley reforms. So So it is 5, right? Parliamentary reforms is what is called 1909. So the answer will be 2B for the 12th question. Let's move to the 11th question. In the federation established by the Act of 1935, residuary powers are given to the Governor General of India. Okay, remember this residuary power through 1935 Act or given to Governor General of India. Okay. Notwithstanding the introduction of the provincial autonomy, the government of India will be stand control of the central government of provinces in the certain spheres. Okay, the governor was required to act in his own discretion in certain matters for which he was to act without ministerial advice and under the control of the all directions of the government. So the 10th answer would be both essential or is the correct explanation of which of the following is matched correctly. Indian Council Act 1999 did not introduce a responsible government. Okay? Principle of elections was introduced in the Indian Council Act 1902, 1892. Up to right in 1892. Indirect elections. The word elections was not used, but indirectly they were elected in 1892. So the first one is correct. So minus A. Yeah. Provincial autonomy was provided where provincial autonomy was provided in 1935, and diarchy in states was provided in 1990. So 8th question. During the period of British India, rules under which of the following are known as devolution rules? I have told you this. Devolution rules in 1919. Okay. So devolution rules, I have told you this, right? 1919, that's what devolution rules. The initial idea of the recruitment of the merit principle can be traced to the Macaulay Committee. Okay, remember this. Partially responsible government in the provinces was established in which of the following acts? Partially responsible governments. 1909 or 1919 or 1935 or 1892. I think it is 1935. Which of the answer is 6th? Yeah, sorry. It was through Government of India Act 1919 that partially responsible government was introduced. Okay, check it out. I think. Match 1 with 2. 5th question. Okay. The Government of India Act 1935. A will be transfer of power from East India Company to British Colonies 1858. D will be 1. So two options B and D are same. So C is the Government of India Act 1919. C will be 4 or 2. 4 introduction of diarchy or 2 and beside the dominion status in India. No, dominion status of India in 1935 they did not give. So the answer will be C will be 4. So B will be 1. Fifth B. Fifth B is the right answer. Okay. So which of the following acts provided setting up of the board of control in the Britain through which British government could court of directors, commercial affairs and board of control for political affairs in 1784 British Act. I have told you this. Okay. So the answer will be for the 6th. Which was that? So 4th question will be B. Okay. Consider the following statements. The Public Service Commission in India was set up in the year 1926 on the recommendations of the Lee Commission or the Superior Civil Service Commission. The Government of India in 1935 provided for the setting of the Public Service Commission at both the federal and provincial level. Second is correct statements and first is also correct. Okay, because the Public Service Commission in India was set up in 1926 on the recommendations of the Lee Commission. The first two questions. First question, under the Government of India in 1919, the Indian legislatures were made more representative for the first time and bicameral. So I told you bicameral and more representative for the first time. First is correct. The Government of India in the Federation taking the provinces and Indian states as unit. So yes, this is also correct. So both 1 and 2 are correct. Second question, which is the following are the principles of the Government of India in 1919? Introduction of diarchy in executive government provinces. Yeah, it is correct. Introduction of separate communal electorate for Muslims. It was done in 1919. If you eliminate 2, it will be 2, 2, 1, 3 and Devolution, powers have told you devolution in 1919. Okay, expansion and reconstruction of central and provincial legislature. So expansion and reconstruction of central and provincial legislature was also done in the government of India in 1919. Oh, these are about the 22 questions. Briefly we discussed and very fast we have discussed. In the next lecture we will be discussing more the evolution. Okay, how the Indian constitution evolved, and there are only 11 questions in this. Along with this, if we get, we'll also discuss 7 features of the Indian constitution. Okay, both evolution and features. These two will be discussed in the next lecture. Thank you.